Imagine a decades-long cycle, military rulers promising stability, lavishing in foreign aid, and conducting wars in a theater far beyond national means, while building private business fiefdoms under the uniform. Fast forward to today, power still hinges on military sway, markets still distort, and once promised development keeps getting suspended. This isn't just history, it's what modern Pakistan is wrestling with now. From Ayub and Zia to Musharraf, and arguably still today under General Asim Munir and his SIFC initiatives. In Pakistan's early years, aligning with the US, particularly via SEATO 1954 and CENTO 1955-59, brought military and economic aid flowing into Ayub Khan's regime after his 1958 coup. But aid came with strings. State priorities tilted toward defense, not education or industrialization. It came with Pakistan giving shoulder to US's guns against Soviet Union. It cost Pakistan a diplomatic setback, as Pakistan couldn't be in the lucky list of unaligned countries that enjoyed good ties with both US and Soviet Union. When geopolitical winds changed, investment dried up, and key reforms remained unaddressed. This didn't just lock in external financing, it normalized it. Institutions never matured on their own. Zia-ul-Haq gained billions in aid by facilitating US and Gulf support for Afghan Mujahideen after the Soviet invasion in 1979. The immediate gains were significant. The long-term consequences, refugee inflows, a surge in armed groups, drugs, violent sectarianism, devastated investor confidence, and demanded heavy security spending. Tourism cratered, urban centers bristled with checkpoints, and economic hope got crowded out. Years later, the bill keeps arriving in the form of unchecked immigrants, terrorism spree, and military influence in the business sector. Pervez Musharraf's Pakistan became a post-9/11 frontline ally. The country received colossal funds via coalition support funds, estimated at $5 to $6.6 billion by 2007, and total US assistance that may have hit $10 to $12 billion early in the decade, but investigations flagged overbilling, lack of documentation, and diversion of funds. Even by 2008, $7.89 billion had gone to military aid versus $3.1 billion in development assistance. This tilted spending further toward defense, away from infrastructure, health, and education. When aid stopped or conditions tightened, fiscal pressure surged with currency crises and repeated IMF bailouts. And it even costed Musharraf his presidency. What came afterwards was an unprecedented series of attacks on civilians and military infrastructure. It also pushed Pakistan into a complicated relation with US as well as the West. Parallel to politics, the military built a vast commercial empire, Milbus, through conglomerates like Fauji Foundation, Army Welfare Trust, Shaheen and Baria Foundations. Their holdings span cement, banking, real estate, agriculture. These businesses leverage preferential access to assets and finance, pushing the private sector into the shadows, compromising competition and innovation. Institutional opacity and power capture then reinforce each other. The result? Slower growth, more dependency, and relentless fiscal stress. A recent list of billion-dollar companies in Pakistan showed Fauji Foundation as the biggest company in Pakistan with net worth over $5 billion. Diplomatic aid and military businesses created a feedback loop where short-term rent-seeking substituted for reform and fiscal crises were papered over with foreign cash, Reforms like tax expansion, energy restructuring, and export promotion were delayed or abandoned. When help dries up, as it does, the economy hits the brakes again, and the IMF is called upon to mop up. Today, Chief of Army Staff Asim Munir co-chairs the Special Investment Facilitation Council, established in June 2023, ostensibly a single window to fast-track foreign investment via military-civil coordination. SIFC set a $5 billion FDI target, yet as of 2024, actual inflows lag, and the investment to GDP ratio fell to its lowest in 50 years, approximately 13%. Projects under SIFC, like the $720 million Green Pakistan Canal project, sparked protests from communities fearing land and water capture. While SIFC boasted about its existence, the application of its purpose still remains unknown, as Asim claims of $100 billion inflow of investment in 2 years has come down to a $2 billion a year, and that too by selling Reko Diq minerals. The Reko Diq copper-gold project in Balochistan may generate $74 billion in free cash flow over 37 years, per Barrick's figures. Phase 1 of 200,000 tons of copper annually, $5.5 billion, and second phase of $3.5 billion are scheduled to begin by 2028 to 2029. At a Pakistan Minerals Investment Forum in 2025, Munir assured investors of robust security to protect this and other mineral ventures. He also spoke of rare earths as a quasi-panacea for national debt. These short-term and vague ideas are nothing but a show that how people in power will experiment with the economy of this country only to fail and leave the country to settle in much better countries. From Cold War pacts to open mining fields, the narrative is depressingly consistent. Military elites turn geopolitical events into institutional power and business empires, while reform, transparency, and the public good get sidelined. Asim Munir's SIFC and the Reko Diq surge suggest economic ambition. But unless efforts shift away from rent-seeking, privilege, and opacity, and toward governance, civilian control, and public accountability, the costs will outlive the profits. Because the most expensive myth in Pakistan's history remains evergreen, that dictatorships are good for the economy. In truth, the cumulative data tells a different story, one of deferred progress, misplaced priorities, and debts, both financial and institutional, that are yet to be repaid.